Welcome into Sports by the Book here at South Point Studio. It is Tuesday, messing up my days already, Tuesday, March the 12th, and we are continuing on with our look at NCAA college basketball action. We're also talking NFL free agency. The league year opened up yesterday, and it might as well have closed because everybody with two working legs got an NFL offer. Along with Alex White, I'm Matt Neverett, here to bring you today's action. Alex, I know I got a call from a couple NFL teams yesterday. Did they reach out to you? They're signing just about everybody.
Not yet, not me. Are you a running back as well? Because that seems to be the position this year.
I'm more of a placeholder. So if there were any teams that were looking for someone with great hands, questionable legs, and can throw if needed, I'm your guy. I'll even sign for the veteran minimum. Somehow, I think I can make that salary work.
All right. Well, I hope you have a good agent like Kirk Cousins.
We'll see. My agent shares the same last name. My dad, he does a pretty good job of making some calls for me. I'm sure you can relate.
I can, very
Maybe not
much.
with NFL contracts for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got Chris Andrews, South Point Sportsbook Director, coming up here at 3:20. I haven't had Chris on this particular show in a while. He was on vacation in Montana for a couple of weeks and picked a good time to come back. A lot going on the hardwood, and a special surprise at the end. 3:45, don't miss Cousin Josh. We're talking a 20-plus year vet of college basketball tournaments, and Las Vegas college basketball tournaments specifically. He'll have a couple of picks and some old-school Las Vegas stories as well. Don't miss Cousin Josh at 3:45. But, Alex, as we have been doing for the last 5, 6, 7 shows, we're leading off with college basketball. We're leading off today with our conference championship look-ins. And there is a championship game tonight. It is here in Las Vegas. It is later on between the first-seeded St. Mary's Gales and the second-seeded Gonzaga Bulldogs in the West Coast Conference Final at the Orleans Arena. They have pulled Ryan McCormick from his duties here at South Point to direct the in-house show. This is an interesting game. Ryan tells us it is likely to be more like a home game for Gonzaga than a true neutral site game between these two WCC foes. Gonzaga laying 3.5. Really coming into form at the right time here late in the schedule.
I believe I heard a stat that this is their 28th straight championship game.
Wow.
The Zags. So, I mean, there's some people who have only seen Gonzaga in this championship game. You're probably pretty close,
That is
actually.
crazy. There are people who can legally gamble who have not yet seen a tournament without Gonzaga in the championship in the WCC.
It is wild. And it's clearly the two best teams here. I mean, both of them won and covered easily last night, which we both like those sides. And so now we get this rematch of these two, split the regular season. It looked like St. Mary's had a chance to actually sweep Gonzaga for the first time in the regular season, but Gonzaga came out on top in that one, covered easily, and now they've won 9 straight to get here, getting hot at the right time. I don't have a play in this one. I did make Gonzaga about a 5-point favorite. Then I give St. Mary's a little bit of a revenge, so that number looks just about right to me.
Right at about it. Any thoughts on the total? We'll get to some more details on the game, but 138.5 feels a little bit low. You got Gonzaga, who on the one hand is phenomenal offensively, but St. Mary's has made their money this year on the defensive side of the ball. Did you have any thoughts on the over-under?
No, I really thought that total was correct as well. And you're right, St. Mary's has done really well defensively, plays a little bit slower, but they're 17 and 14 to the over. So, I mean, both these teams, I don't know, play about the same, and I think that 140 mark is about the right spot.
This is about as evenly matched a matchup as we've ever seen come tournament time between these two teams, Gonzaga and St. Mary's. And the WCC has laid out their tournament so that their top two teams can have the easiest route to the NCAA. They just win 2 games and they're in. And especially a team like Gonzaga that went in really, really well rested.
So I want your opinion on this. I love it. I think more conferences should do this, but I'm all about this, and that's why baseball kind of drives me crazy, and some people absolutely love it, but it's about who's hot at the right time, right? I'm all about, if you're going to win 100 games in the regular season, they should be rewarded here down the stretch, and I kind of like it for these college basketball tournaments as well.
Yeah, we're starting to see more low majors, mid to low majors like the WCC go to this layout, because basically it's these leagues that think that they're going to get one bid, and they're trying to give their one team that comes out of their conference to have the best chance, to be the most well-rested, to go in there with a little bit of momentum. We're seeing the Big West do it this year, the Big West cutting down to 8 teams on both the men's and women's sides, and the top 2 seeds get the double bye into the semi. So we're starting to see a lot more low majors kind of go to that format. I like the look as far as the conferences are concerned, trying to get those teams like a Gonzaga, although Gonzaga a little bit of an outlier because they're in an at-large bid more often than not, no matter what, including this year. Your dad yesterday was on the show, the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, saying that Gonzaga after that win against St. Mary's, was in the tournament anyway, and he had some money on them to win the whole tournament, not just the WCC tournament tonight.
That's right, 100-1 to win the whole tournament. So I think that was more of a play on the value there and being a bad number and the fact that they could get hot and make a run here down the stretch. But they have quite a few quad one wins, and the announcers even talked about that a lot in their recent games compared to some other teams, right, that we've been talking about. And we'll get to Kansas because we want to talk about them in the Big 12 conference coming up and to warn people not to put their money on them. But yeah, so they have enough quad one wins and getting hot at the right time. I think Gonzaga is in no matter what. It's St. Mary's that I'm a little concerned about, which it looks like in bracketology that they are in no matter what as well.
I would tend to agree, just with their regular season resume. I watched them in a double overtime win against UNLV on a neutral site in Phoenix. Really, really impressive. I think the matchup to keep an eye on this one relates to the big men. Graham Ike, who's the Wyoming transfer, having just a phenomenal season in his first year in Spokane. He'll be matched up against Mitchell Saxon for the Gales. That battle down low is going to be the telltale sign of who wins this game.
All right, we did a lot of preview on this game. You haven't given out your pick just yet.
Everybody in this studio, except for Alex White, is on Gonzaga laying the 3.5. I think, the home court advantage, which it's rare in a conference tournament that you do have more or less of a true home court advantage. We heard your dad talk about it yesterday. We heard Ryan McCormick talk about it earlier on Punchlines rather with Frank Nicotero. Gonzaga travels. They travel especially well to Las Vegas. And in a year where they weren't the bona fide sure thing favorite, they're going to travel even better. I like Gonzaga doing what they do, flexing their muscle at the right time with a 3.5-point spread. I think they get it.
And their women's team is very good as well, right? So a lot of fans are here for both, which works out, have both tournaments right there.
Exactly. Sometimes they say the left hand doesn't tell the right hand what's going on. In Gonzaga's case, they're like this.
That's right.
There you go. Very, very proud of that one. A couple other tournaments, or championships, I should say, of these tournaments.
5 total today.
Yeah, there's a lot of them today. We'll go to one that you have a play in, but I don't necessarily, in the Coastal Athletic Association. Said it right today. First time for everything. 625, 626 on the rotation number. Number 7 seed Stony Brook taking on top-seeded Charleston, who won but didn't cover a 5.5-point number yesterday. I was unfortunate to be on the 5.5. I was a hook away from being 3-1 yesterday, but finished with a 2-2 result. But Charleston going for the CAA championship. Charleston won the only regular season matchup in this game, or in this showdown, 93-87. This Stony Brook team coming in hot, though. They've covered 7 of their last games against the spread.
They have. They've done very well, and a lot of people get nervous. 4 games in 4 days, but, this team is playing really hot. I lean to that side. I didn't place the bet and take the points. I like the total, and I like this game going over. Charleston plays the fastest in this conference, and they play 56 fastest in the country. They're also the best offense in this conference. So Stony Brook, like you mentioned, they're really hot. I think they keep that going. They're averaging 78.8 in their last 5, shooting 46.5% from the field, 19 and 3 to the over in their last 21. Is that correct? That might not be right. I'm going to have to double check that.
That would be a really good bettable angle if it was.
Yes, it would. We'll double check that. But I do like this over. I made it a lot higher, so I think there's some value here.
Charleston scoring 81 points a game. Top in the conference. One of the top numbers in the country. 81 points in any conference. Nothing to scoff at. The only thing that I can say to the contrary, if there is anything, Stony Brook in their last 7 games have held 5 of their opponents to 65 or fewer points. I don't think they're going to have the same kind of success on that side of the ball against this high-powered Charleston offense. I think it's Charleston all the way. It's a 9-point number, a little too rich for my blood, but if you're looking for a money line parlay, big-time favorite, I think Charleston on that money line, if you're going to slap them in there, just to win the game, I think really, really has a good shot. I think that their offense leads them to victory. This one at 4 o'clock on CBS Sports.
By far the best team in this Coastal Conference here, but I'm sorry, they're 19 and 13 to the over on the year. So
still pretty good.
Yeah, a little bit of an edge there, but I missed an important one.
So you're on over 149 in this
That's
one.
right.
Stony Brook and College of Charleston. One other championship. We got the WCC, we got the CAA. How about the Summit League? We got the Pioneers of Denver taking on the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. Big number in this one, all the way up to 9.5. Does that say 10? Oh, that's a 10 in the Charleston game. 9.5 with South Dakota State. This game starts at 6:30. Also on CBS Sports. You're laying the big number here.
I am. And you know what? You're right, Matt. I think it's mostly 10s out there now, which I'm still okay with. I did lay the 9.5. But, Denver is outperformed, and they won their first game by 1 against Missouri. KC, and then they won against Omaha by 3. On the other side, the Jackrabbits, they won by 16 against Oral Roberts and 10 yesterday against St. Thomas. I know I was on St. Thomas' side. St. Thomas is the best offense and second best defense. I thought they could hang in this one, and they couldn't. So I don't think Denver really stands a chance here, and South Dakota State is trying to punch their way to the big dance. I think they're going to take care of business here and cover that number easily.
We were talking about the drive for the South Dakota State fans. They're playing an hour away. How far is Denver? Denver's going to be a lot farther, so they're really not going to have that much of a fan presence. So we've been talking about that over the last couple of days as well. That's also a bettable angle. I was really interested to hear someone like your dad, who's so well respected in the industry, and his numbers that he makes that are so well respected and widely regarded in the industry, talk about how he uses home court advantage. And I had never really put that much stock into it like he does, but I was really interested to hear how he adjusts his numbers based on where these games are. Obviously, that's something that you think about, but come tournament time, he actually didn't, unadjust as much as I thought he would.
And I have to give him a little shout out because Cousin Josh was just talking about that Cincinnati game and how he thought he could lay the points because that West Virginia team's not very good. And I still have a lot to learn, but I use my numbers, compare with his numbers, and he had made Cincinnati just a 7.5 point favorite, meaning take the 10 points with West Virginia. I looked into that game. I tried to find a reason to grab West Virginia, and I really didn't see one. Right, bottom of that league, they were winning that game most of the time. Majority of that game and covered pretty easily there. So yeah, a lot of it is just numbers and staying consistent and trusting your numbers down the stretch.
They would have won straight up, the Mountaineers, if they had not committed 3 technical fouls in the last 4 minutes of that one. So they did it to themselves. You talk about a team hurting themselves. That was West Virginia today. We'll get Cousin Josh's story on his bet on Cincinnati on that one. But yeah, it was interesting to hear. The one other thing I was interested that your dad was saying was home a venue across different sports, and that soccer was number 1. And when you think about it, that makes sense. But hearing that baseball was his number 2, that was the least rather. Basketball was next.
Yes.
I was surprised to hear that baseball was the least adjusted home field advantage.
Well, I think in the sense, and I know you were thinking it too, they were like, they get the last at bat, right? Mm-hmm. So of course that little bit of an edge, but in regards to fans actually having an influence on the game, I don't really think baseball has much of an impact. Basketball, he loves because they're on top of each other. Everybody's right there. And then, the student section in college. Well, and we've seen it. It's blown up again since COVID, right?
Yeah.
And it took a little bit of time, but now here we are, 4 years.
Yeah.
And home court means so much again.
Oh, like college basketball, especially because of those things. You think about Cameron Indoor, the Cameron Crazies, the Pit in New Mexico. That's the loudest venue that I've ever seen a game in. At the college level. But the baseball one, thing that was interesting to me was that, I agree with all of those points, but it's the one sport where there's the most variance in the playing surface and the area surrounding the field/court itself.
That's true.
That was interesting. I was really interested and really, really locked into what your dad was saying yesterday about that home court advantage. So now I'm kind of thinking, all right, South Dakota State in this matchup against Denver, they're going to have a ton of home crowd support. Same thing with Gonzaga tonight. So I like both of those.
Very good. Okay.
Maybe not as big a number on Gonzaga. Well, I'm going to get you on Gonzaga by the end of this show, one way or another. How about another championship?
Yes.
How about the Barbasol Horizon League Championship? This one in Indianapolis, the 6-seeded Milwaukee team taking on top-seeded Oakland. The Golden Bears, a 4-point favorite, 151.5, kind of an elevated total in this one. Oakland swept the regular season series. You've been talking about it for about a week to 2 weeks now. Hard to beat the team 3 times in 1 year. Do you think Oakland pulls it off?
Yeah, I do. If I was to bet this game, I would bet Oakland on the money line. I do. They are the better team, right? Let's compare their numbers. So their adjusted offense efficiency 134, defense 167, compared to this Milwaukee team who is 145 on offense and 312 on defense. We know we like defense, especially down the stretch, especially in these big tournament games. So I would lean towards Oakland here, but maybe just not worry about the spread and take them on the money line.
I've got no play in this game, partially because I saw Milwaukee play in person earlier this year at a neutral site game in Daytona. I believe it was against Richmond, the Spiders, and they looked horrendous. I watched Milwaukee turn the ball over 22 times in a game. Granted, and we talked about it, we keep going back to yesterday's show, but we talked about these teams in these early season non-con tournaments versus now in the postseason conference tournaments, I should say. Completely different teams.
Right.
We've seen it with UNLV. We've seen it with Gonzaga. There's been a lot of teams that have completely flipped the script and really come together. And we see that a lot more nowadays with new teams every year. A lot of guys transferring in. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to mesh. So that might be what we're getting with Milwaukee. Reason I'm kind of have some trepidation on this game is because all the numbers, at least to me, suggest Milwaukee. Now, I'm not going to bet it because I have had that personal experience. I'm not dispelling anyone from taking this game because Milwaukee, on a 6-game winning streak, they've scored 89 or more in their last 3 games. And in those last 3 games, Alex, they have yet to turn the ball over 10 or more times. They are holding the ball. They are efficient. They are scoring really well. And there's that double revenge spot trying to avenge 2 losses against Oakland this season. So, everything in my heart and my mind is telling me to take Milwaukee, but the eye test, I just can't do it.
We'll have to get Chris's opinion because he doesn't hold back. He tells us if he has any sharp money on either side. And I've heard a lot of people on Milwaukee, so I am curious to see what he's gotten here at the South Point.
I do think that the recent success is baked into the number because I think if they played this game 3 weeks ago, Milwaukee would be way bigger than a 4-point dog.
I agree with that as well.
So we'll see. That is an interesting one. Starts at 4 o'clock from Indianapolis. We do have one more championship here. You actually have a half a unit play on the NEC championship. Merrimack taking on Wagner. This game at 4 o'clock on ESPN. The Deuce. Merrimack looking to make the NCAA tournament in their very first year at the Division I level, and they're laying 7.5 points. This Warriors team is dominant. How about the total, though? 119.5. You like it under?
I do. And earlier today, I saw it drop down to 118.5. I stayed away. It looks like there's been some buyback here. So I jumped in at under 119.5. I'm going to just hold my breath and pray during this game because that is a very low total here. But the last time Wagner won, the most recent time they played, they won 60-44.
Oh.
We got to 104 there.
Exciting NEC basketball.
I think we're going to be okay. Wagner 5 straight unders, Merrimack 4 and 1 to the under. And the best thing I have for you is Wagner 360th in pace in the country. We're talking 61.6 possessions per game compared to these other teams, Kentucky, Bama, that we're seeing like 70, 71, right?
Yeah.
We're down all the way to 61. Take 20 seconds average possession time on offense. So they're going to try and slow it down. They are the underdog. That's the way they're going to try and stay in this game. Wow. So limit the possessions. And I think we're okay on that
Wagner,
under.
360th in pace. That's out of 362, folks. That is very slow. Yeah, 20 plus seconds per possession. Did you say?
Yes, on offense.
That is a snail's pace.
It is.
That is incredible. That NEC championship. This Merrimack team, incredible what they've been doing in their first year at the Division I level. Looking to make the NCAA tournament and being favored by almost 8 points. They are an 8-point favorite at some books. And Merrimack in the NEC, how about it?
Looks like it's been all Merrimack money, too, because I did see 7.5 earlier, and it's just steamed up there. So I agree with that as well. I mean, I think they should be the favorite in this one and by a good margin.
That's our look at the championship games going on today around college basketball and the conferences. We'll step aside, take a 2-minute break here on Sports by the Book. When we return, the man himself, Sportsbook Director Chris Andrews, joins us to break down some earlier round matchups and tell us about the sharp action and otherwise here at South Point. Don't go anywhere. This is Sports by the Book.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sportsbook, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the Racebook, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome back into Sports by the Book here at South Point Studios. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave us your live comments as well. Always love hearing what picks our viewers and listeners have. We're back. Alex White, Matt Neverett, here on a Tuesday, and on the other end of the desk, the sportsbook director here at the South Point, Chris Andrews, stopping by. You always wear the shirt of a team that's playing.
I try to, yeah.
Try to. And we got Denver today. That was a game that we had just talked about.
Yeah, I know.
In that championship matchup. And what did you say when I said you got the Denver shirt on?
Oh, I probably won't be able to wear it for another 9 months after tonight. But my daughter went there, got her master's degree from DU. So
Might not be Summit League champions after tonight, but still a good academic program with a good hockey.
I know. When we get to the Frozen Four, I might be bringing it out again. That's a chance for that.
Exactly. But how has the action been overall behind the book on these college basketball tournaments? Because it can be a mixed bag at different books.
You know, I say this every year. It's always like a little disappointing because I think the basketball is great. But like I've said, the numbers are all almost like a little too good. You know, and then we've had some moves. But, you know, we talked about the Merrimack game moved like 3 points. You know, the Denver, South Dakota State game moved a point. You know, that's not much of a move. You know, the Merrimack, but, you know, people have not had Merrimack on their, you know, menu all year.
Not at all.
So, I mean, those tend to move. But, you know, the other ones, just the numbers are too solid. I mean, we get play. I mean, I always think that the basketball is better than the betting. Whereas next week, the betting's better than the basketball.
Yeah, true.
Although the basketball is pretty damn good next week, too, though. So.
Yeah, because we're in a lot of the lower conference tournaments right now. It's kind of a weird split.
Oh, it'll pick up.
For
you know,
sure.
This is Tuesday.
Tomorrow's the real day when a lot of them
Tomorrow starts, and it'll be a good day, but Friday and Saturday will be really good.
What are we doing here? What's going on at the South Point for a lot of these games heading up through the weekend in these conference tournaments before the big parties and everything for March Madness itself?
You know, we just have all the numbers up. You know, they're in the process of getting tomorrow's games up. You know, we're just trying to put up our full regular menu, everything that we can get. And next week, of course, is the big time, and we'll have 2 jackpot parlay cards where we give out the money regardless. You know, whoever has the most wins. We'll have one for Thursday and one for Friday. We'll have a parlay and teaser card for next week that'll have, you know, Thursday and Friday's games on them. And, you know, I mean, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll get a lot of action. And we're already getting ready for our advertisement for the Sweet 16 round and on minus 105.
Just like the Super Bowl odds that you guys did.
You know, when I talked to Michael this morning, he just looked, is this what we're going to? I said, Michael, we've been doing it every year. This is my 8th year here. We've been doing it every year since I've been here. It's great for us. Okay. That's one thing good about being in this place. You can get a decision in like 5-6 seconds. You know, you don't have to go through 27 lawyers.
You got to convince the
Right.
one right guy.
Yeah, right. As soon as the one guy goes, okay, it's like a bank robbery. I'm out. You know,
Exactly.
Boom. He said yes. Let's go.
Any big bets on conference futures that you've had to move?
Yes, we had a couple. Had a pretty good sized bet on St. John's.
Okay.
Playing pretty good ball right now. Had him 12-1, which I think was a reasonable price. But a guy bet me, and then he bet me North Carolina. We took some action there. He bet the chalk. I mean, I had him plus 180, I think.
Yeah, I think you had Duke as a small favorite.
Yeah, and now I made Duke 180
Okay.
as well. So I flip-flopped them. And then today we had some money on Colorado.
Really?
Yeah. We had a couple others, but those are the ones that kind of stand out. We have one guy that likes to bet me a lot of futures, and you know, he does okay. We're about even with him after, you know, a couple years of betting.
And then what about the futures as far as the big tournament? Have you taken any real big action, any notable action on the NCAA tournament yet?
Yeah, you know, I had some big play on. Well, actually, you know, the probably the biggest favorites. I'm in a little bit of trouble on all of them, but I mean, like 5 figures or less. You know, I mean, nothing to get too excited about. But Houston, Purdue, Purdue, a little bit on Connecticut, but I mean nothing really that significant. I did take a pretty good whack earlier in the year on North Carolina.
Okay.
When I didn't think they were going to be very good this year.
And that's looking solid at this point.
Yeah, oh yeah, that guy definitely got a good number. I think I gave him 25-1 for a pretty good bet. So right now he's looking pretty good. I mean they're definitely live, but nothing outrageous. I mean I shouldn't say. BYU is probably about six figures.
Really?
Yeah.
So they've dropped from 25-1 about a week ago now up to like 50.
Yes.
Well, I didn't raise them, I don't think.
Yeah.
Or maybe I did. I can't remember.
Well, the one move I did want to ask you about specifically with this market, Arizona down from 9-1 to 7-1, and Alex knows I've been saying look out for the Wildcats this time of year.
Yeah.
They're like another Michigan State type team where they always
Right.
kind of find their stride here. What's the action been like on Arizona?
Yeah, we've had the Arizona's another one of those teams where we lose on, where it's kind of like almost like the stock market where they bought the dips. Let's say that when I raised them at certain times when I didn't think they looked very good. Then other times you look and say, oh yeah, this team's live. So the times when I didn't think they looked very good, we took a couple of whacks at that time. But Matt, it's you got to win 6 in a row. What can I tell
Right.
you? It's a long way to go. And I always say one team's going to win. 67 of them's going to lose, so,
Kind of
let's see what
represent the
happens.
Pac-12 well on the way out.
Yeah, they might, yeah.
Kentucky's been another team like that has
Right.
jumped up and down a little bit on the futures market.
I think
but
I do pretty good with Kentucky.
yeah.
That's my only future right now.
That's your only one?
I'll probably have one or two more by the time the tournament itself
who,
starts.
I
but
think, who else has one? Oh, Jeff.
Jeff
I think
is on him,
Jeff
as
has
is
him.
Sammy
And
P.
Sammy P.
Sammy P.
Although
Sammy's
I-
going to be on the show
Saturday at 9:30.
Saturday. Yeah, he texted me today. I love that kid. I
He's
love
the man.
him. Yeah, I love that guy.
Man, I think they got a better number than me. I took the 18-1
Yeah.
back here
I
earlier.
think Jeff took like a 30 or 35.
I
at
think
one
he
point.
made the drive, yeah,
Yeah.
Did he?
to Arizona and
Yeah.
got 35-1.
We were talking about that yesterday with your dad. Man, all these flashbacks to yesterday's show, talking about some of these welcome offers. It was Jimmy that brought it up, actually.
Yeah.
From all the
I
Southern
saw
California
Jimmy's segment. I didn't watch the show yesterday. I had
busy guy.
people in town. But, your dad, one of the sharpest guys in town. So always welcome to hear his opinion for sure.
I don't know if I had body odor or something, but Jimmy could. We had a mic that was down, and he was like, "Oh, come around." I couldn't get him to come closer to the mic. It's me. I know. It's me.
Did you shower yesterday, Matt?
I don't know. I'm like Frank. I have my schedules, my showers on a schedule. But want to get your thoughts on some of tonight's matchups.
Okay.
And we'll lead you in with the one that we led the show off with, Gonzaga St. Mary's WCC Championship tonight. Is this the game that you're taking the most action on today so
yeah.
far, big time?
Not even close. Yeah. Well, we've been. Geez, did I open at 2.5? I can't remember. I think I might have opened at 2.5. We were up as high as 3.5, back to 3. I just went back to 3.5. So yeah, a lot of action on that game. Pretty good two-way, but mostly on Gonzaga. Well, I want to stay kind of on the high side there. And I heard you during your segment saying that the Gonzaga people travel very well. They do, and they love coming to Las
Yep.
Vegas. I mean, who doesn't? But they love coming here. And right now we're getting a lot of some sharp play as well as a lot of public money on Gonzaga.
I was going to say, I think person about 3 feet to my right between you and me is the only one in the studio right now without a bet on Gonzaga out of
Yeah.
just about everybody in here.
Yeah, I was
outside
gonna,
of you. But.
I would say everybody in the pit, if you walk out
Yeah,
there, most of
exactly.
them have a
That's
ticket
right.
on Gonzaga.
And I don't know, I'm not that scared. It's one of those things, normally when I'm on a team that's a slight favorite like this, and I hear everybody and their brother like,
Yeah.
but the line, like you had said, went the other way. Now is a little bit back, but like I took it at 3.5 thinking it was going to go to 4 before it went back to 3.
Yeah, one of my sharp guys took the 3.5. He's welcome to come in again, by the way, because we got it up on our board.
Yeah.
But I like both programs. As a matter of fact, we lived in Reno for a long time, and my one daughter, I kind of encouraged to take a look at St. Mary's. I think it's a great school, not too far from Reno in Moraga, California. But she wound up at Nevada, which is okay. But it's a great school, and it's been a great program really for a long time. And it's kind of one of those nice little schools that has done a great job, certainly with their basketball program.
Steve
you see
Alford's
that on.
awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's terrific. Yeah.
And I felt very comfortable talking about both these teams yesterday in their respected games. St. Mary's over Santa Clara, Gonzaga over San Francisco as big favorites. I didn't bet them, but I did say that I had a lean because of my numbers. This one I feel like is just right, and you've mentioned it. Right now, the numbers are getting really tight, and you guys have good.
Well, these
numbers
guys
out
play
there.
twice a year, and then usually 3 times a year. For the last 10 years or so.
That's right.
So the numbers are pretty good. We know these pretty well.
Should be a great game between those two. We do have to ask you about one of the conference numbers that is still up, and that is because Kansas will be without two of their stars going into this tournament.
The number hasn't moved, though.
No, it hasn't moved. Probably should be a little higher. I'm trying to see. We got bet on somebody. I can't remember who we got bet on. I think we got bet on. I think we got bet on Baylor in that conference. But that, I need to do a little bit
That's
of
who my
adjusting.
dad said.
Well, we
Baylor's
brought it
a
up. 'Cause we were going to talk before the show. We're doing a PSA here, folks. Think before you act on Kansas at that 12-1 number. 'Cause that was the number yesterday before these two injuries, including Hunter Dickinson, big-time impact player. They will be back for the NCAA tournament, says Bill Self.
That's what they say, yeah.
So,
So probably give me a couple minutes. It'll go to 15 as soon as I get back in the office,
But yeah, this Big 12 is a conference that has been at the top of everybody's mind. It's the best conference in college basketball this year, the deepest one, potentially a 9-bid league. So much so that yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, on Sunday, when you put out these conference championship numbers on the sheets, I got a text from Jeff Parles immediately. Hey, can you text me a picture of the Big 12? People are dying for these Big 12 numbers because it is just so darn competitive. Houston, a minus 140 favorite. Iowa State and Baylor, the next two, at 7-2 and 7-1. Are you taking action on the latter two, Iowa State and Baylor, more so than Houston at this point, or are people landing?
Yeah, I got nothing on Houston.
Really?
I mean, a couple $100 at the most.
Wow.
Nothing. Well, I mean, the $1.40 is kind of scaring them.
True.
I think they are the best team in the conference. Best team doesn't always win. We know that. But I do have some money on Iowa State and Baylor. I don't have any on Kansas, but like I said, I'm going to go to 15 as soon as I get back in the office. Excuse me. I let my crew put up all the numbers, and they did put up that 12-1. So I'm going to go make an adjustment. I've been kind of on the run all day today.
Yeah.
So
Alex and I moving numbers with our info. How about that?
Yeah. And I wanted to tell you, too, I don't know if you have the Mountain West. I don't know if we could put that up there.
Oh, certainly.
They opened up who was the favorite? I can't even remember.
San Diego State.
Yep, SDSU.
Plus 280. I made
now
it plus
it's
$3,
now it's
just to
$3.
get some action around it, because I felt that conference is so evenly
gosh.
matched. The favorite should not be less than $3.
It's the only conference in the country, Chris, with 7 teams at 7-1 odds or less. This probably was as difficult a conference to handicap on your end as there is.
Yeah, no, I love this conference. I love the way they play. Of course, spent a lot of years in Reno. My daughter's a Nevada graduate, so I'm kind of obviously going to be rooting a little bit for them. Matter of fact, I saw Steve Stallworth out. He saw my you wearing a UNLV shirt? No chance. That ain't going to happen, buddy.
Matter of fact, I do owe you a beer.
You do owe me a beer.
And see, everybody was
We got a
giving
lot
me
of
a hard time, but the points wouldn't have helped.
No, and the 2-1 wouldn't have helped either. You're going to owe me a beer regardless.
Right.
Are you taking any action on any team in particular in the Mountain West more so than others, or is it pretty spread out because these odds are so tight?
Pretty spread out. Yeah, pretty spread out, which is exactly what we want.
Well, it's also the conference. I don't think anybody knows who the hell's going to win this one.
I don't think so either.
Well, who do you think, Matt? Because you've been pretty on with this conference, football and basketball.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams that I would keep my eye on. San Diego State is scary. 280, I think.
Oh,
might,
sure,
or
yeah.
3-1 rather. What it's now at might be a little bit short in this conference where it is so competitive. They take on UNLV after getting that first round bye, and UNLV just did beat them in the Thomas and Mack Center. It's where the game's being played on Thursday. I don't know if UNLV can put up that kind of an emotional and passionate physical performance again against San Diego State. So as much as it pains me to say, I do think that they are able to get into the next round, which would put them against either Utah State or the winner of Wyoming-Fresno State. Utah State's going to run either of those teams out. So it's likely going to be against Utah State. And I think that's a really tough matchup. But coming out of the bottom, I would take a look at New Mexico. If you're looking for a slightly elevated number at 6-1, they got number 11 Air Force, who they'll run out of the gym tomorrow. And then they take on Boise State. They're a bad matchup for the Broncos. They have a ton of guard depth, and the Broncos are very big man heavy with Tyson Degenhart. Max Rice is going to be, I think, locked down again by Jalen House, who was just named as the conference's defensive player of the year. And so that puts New Mexico against the winner of San Diego State, Utah State. I like the Lobos to kind of make a run here. They're a pretty passionate, emotional team.
You might have a point. I've been kind of tepid on Boise all year. I mean, I see their results and kind of I'm wondering how. I'm one of those deals. But they're good and they're as live as probably anybody in this conference. But I just haven't had a lot of confidence in them.
Just very quiet, right? Have they been in the ranking? Because it was all Colorado State, and then it was New Mexico from this conference.
I think Nevada got rated this last week.
Nevada,
I think
yes.
everybody, more or less everybody in the conference snuck into the top 25 at one point outside of UNLV as far as these top 7 teams because of their slow start. Yeah, Boise State, The only real big streak or number I can remember is when UNLV went up there and won. They broke the nation's longest home winning streak.
That's
it was, I think,
right.
22 straight games at that point.
Is that right?
Yeah, nobody goes up to Boise and beats them.
Yeah.
They don't have the blue court like they do the blue turf on the football field, but it is still a really good home court advantage up there.
Well, it's a passionate fan base, and they travel well too.
Certainly,
by the way.
yeah. I mean, the Mountain West Tournament, as far as fans that travel, is as good as it
Yeah.
gets, especially on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So we'll
There's
see.
a lot of Nevada grads right here in Las Vegas
Yeah.
too. A lot
Yes,
of,
there are.
Yeah, a lot of
Why
kids.
don't they hang out in Reno?
Well, a lot of kids they graduate here and they don't want to. They want to leave mommy and daddy, and they go up and do whatever they do as college freshmen up in Reno.
I don't know anything about that. One more conference that I want to hit on before we get to some of tonight's matchups. SEC. It's been really interesting at the top. It's a really top-heavy conference. There's a handful of teams that have been the favorites all year. Kentucky, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. They're the big four. They're the top four seeds. We talked yesterday about how it's interesting. Two crazy offensive teams in Alabama and Kentucky. Two really, really good defensive teams in Tennessee, Auburn. Different teams, similar results. They're the top four. I think the sleeping giant to watch out for at 50-1. Keep an eye on South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wow. I got in my big board. They're in my field. And
Really?
I usually miss one or two teams and I missed that one. But yeah, I just remembered who I got another bet on. Florida.
They're really scary too, all the way down to 15-1.
Yeah, I got a bet on Florida. So that's another one that I'm sweating. So we got a couple that we're sweating.
The Gators have been playing well.
They're another team that have come into form.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of these matchups.
And we got to get to football too.
Oh,
'cause
you know what? We'll get to the matchups later.
Okay.
NFL free agency, the league year kicked in yesterday. I just want to read you the list of just impact running backs
Okay.
that have moved. Running backs.
I think I moved to. Go ahead.
We got Josh Jacobs to the Packers, Saquon Barkley to the Eagles, DeAndre Swift to the Bears, Tony Pollard to the Titans, Devin Singletary to the Giants, Antonio Gibson to the Patriots, Derrick Henry to Baltimore, Austin Eckler to the Commanders, and Joe Mixon traded to Houston.
Yeah.
And that's leaving off a couple of guys.
Yeah.
That was just kind of the biggest ones that I put in order. We'll start right at the top. I arranged them by salary.
Go ahead.
Josh Jacobs, 4 years, $48 million with the Packers. And here we are thinking that NFL teams didn't value running backs.
Well, this was a good running back class, so I didn't lower the Packers because I already had them pretty low. I have a lot of respect for that team. David Bakhtiari retired.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's big. That's big. I did not lower them. I already had them what I considered fairly low. I can't remember what it is, but fairly low because I think that that's a live team. I think that's a team up and coming. I did lower the Eagles. I had them 18-1, went to 15. I think Barkley is really going to help that team.
And Packers, are they co-favorites in that division with the Lions right now? I know
think
the
so,
numbers
yeah.
were
I
pretty
think so, yeah.
close. So, I assume you couldn't go too
Definitely
much
some
further.
movement there. I think Derrick Henry in Baltimore.
I didn't lower
Very
them either
interesting.
because I already had Baltimore fairly low, so I didn't want to lower them too much either. But I mean listen, I think Jackson probably needs some help come playoff time. That's just the facts of it. So I think he's going to help him. I raised the Bengals a little bit.
Really?
I had them at
Without mixing,
15. I think without mixing, I went to 18. I don't have much money on the Bengals.
And then what are they going to do with T. Higgins?
Yeah, there's some guys that want out. So I raised them. Who else? I know I raised Seattle, just because, and I don't know who else I raised. I didn't do anything with the Bears, although I like that signing. I didn't do anything with the Raiders, even though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean we're already into six-figure loss with the
Gardner
Raiders.
Minshew's not moving many numbers.
I just called a friend of mine who's been a big Raider fan for a long time. I said, I'm not sure Gardner Minshew's going to lead you to the promised land. But
I think out of those signings, the one that was kind of underrated to me that not as many people are talking about is Tony Pollard to the Titans.
that is kind of that's an underrated move right
Because
there.
he does a lot of things very well. He catches passes
Right.
out of the backfield really well, which is something that Tennessee hasn't had a lot of
Right.
in their offense. And that offense is going to look completely different this year. Looks like
my
Will
gosh.
Levis is going to be leading the charge. He's got a cannon. He's got confidence. And now he's got a pretty versatile running back. Nothing against Derrick Henry, but he's pretty one-track minded. So I think with Tony Pollard,
Yeah.
it's going to open up that offense even more.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at between Henry and Barkley, And Henry's a great running back, but that's pretty much what he does.
Right.
Whereas Barkley is he's not Christian McCaffrey, but he's a little more rounded of an all-around player.
Definitely is. All right, let's talk about another important quarterback. We saw Frank Nicotero. He got the first Russell Wilson Steelers jersey. So that's really cool. But we want your thoughts. You are a Steelers fan. Are you happy about this signing?
No.
No. And the number didn't move either, right? Did you keep the number the same?
Actually, I did move because I got
The
bet on it
division,
today.
right? Oh.
Not the division. We don't put the divisions up till after
Okay.
the draft. But I had him 60-1. Somebody bet me on him.
Wow.
Here's my feelings on it.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint, it's a good move. What was it, like $2 million or whatever
Something
it was?
like that. Broncos paying like $30 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's peanuts in the world of quarterbacks these days. To a guy that's been good, not so much the last 2 years. They signed him to a 1-year deal. I mean, it's the opportunity cost that I think that the Steelers have foregone or overlooked. I'm not sure the exact adjective you want to use there, but they have. I don't know if they're going to draft a first-round quarterback. Somebody may fall to them, that late where they are. I know there's kind of, some quarterbacks in there that may fall to them. Maybe they want to do that. Mason Rudolph does not want to come back. And I got to tell you, I liked Mason Rudolph when he was drafted in the 3rd round. I heard, Roethlisberger treated him like crap. That may be true. Would not surprise me if it is. But I liked him, and I think this year, in those couple of games that he played, he showed some promise, and I think he was somebody who actually got better. I was never in favor of Kenny Pickett, and I'm a Penn State guy. I'm not a Pitt guy. All my Pitt friends, they were all over Pickett. We got to draft. Listen, he's 26 years old. He's not going to get that much better. Pretty much what you see is what you got. And he's not that good. He was never that good. That one fake slide in college, and all of a sudden they're telling you what a genius he is and all that. He was just never that good. And I think, again, I'm reading minds here, but I think the Steelers at some point have kind of like given up on Kenny Pickett mentally, but they don't want to do it because he is a Pitt boy, and they don't want to so much blow a first-round draft choice on him or anything like that. Wouldn't surprise me if they draft a quarterback here in the first round. I kind of hope they do, if they get the right guy. I mean, look, these last couple quarterbacks, and they haven't done so. There's a few exceptions. But I was going through, remember I was talking to Frank about it. I said, look at how many quarterbacks have been thrown right into the mix and have failed. And look at the ones that have sat out a year. Patrick Mahomes sat out a year.
Yep. Jordan Love.
Who's that?
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love sat out 3 years.
He was really good last year.
How about Aaron Rodgers? How much he sat a couple years behind Favre. These are the best quarterbacks in the league. Not a lot of, but even like Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, all these guys were not thrown right into the fire. Now Herbert was, and he's done very well, but he hasn't really won anything.
He's
yet.
a special talent, though.
He is. Josh Allen, look at him, his first year. Everybody was kind of telling you he was a bust. Then he kind of figured it out. But a lot of these other guys, you go back and look like Jameis Winston. He's going to sign as a backup. Marcus Mariota. These guys were 1-2 and like a blanket 1-2. Everybody thought they were the 2 best. No doubt about it. Now they're backups. You look at a lot. Now Joe Burrow, he came in and he did well right away. But he had a lot of experience in college, a lot. And I think that means a lot. So right now, there's a lot of these quarterbacks that are first-round busts, even like Trevor Lawrence, who I think is pretty good, but they thought he was Andrew Luck. He's not. And Andrew Luck, another guy, they threw it into the fire, and he was great right away, but he retired at 29 because he got beat up. So I'm in favor of, you don't have to play these quarterbacks right away. And if the Steelers do that, if that's the angle they go, then I'm for it. But right now, unless they do that, I'm not crazy about this move.
Well, the good thing for Pittsburgh is that as long as Mike Tomlin is the coach, they could throw one of us 3 at quarterback and they'd find a way to go 500 because that's just what he does, right?
I guess so.
Never underestimate as well with thinking about Kenny Pickett. Never underestimate the amount of pride that teams will take in not admitting loss.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No doubt about it.
Especially,
No
I'm a
doubt.
Patriots guy, so they have ruined many.
There's another guy, Mac Jones. Oh, what did he get traded for? 6th or 7th round?
Which I've heard is about the market for Kenny Pickett as teams have started to possibly inquire.
The best he's going to be is a decent backup.
Which, hey, you can still make a great living doing that, right?
Oh, I wouldn't mind.
We saw my man, Clipboard Jesus, Charlie Whitehurst, do that for years and years and years. One of my favorites.
Yeah, you want to give me $8 million a year to hold a clipboard? Sign me up.
One of the best backups of a generation. One of the best nicknames of a generation as well. Clipboard Jesus, Charlie Whitehurst. Chris.
None of them replace Cliff Stout.
Yeah.
who got his pension without ever taking a snap in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chase Daniel, he's another legendary backup when it comes
yeah.
to contracts.
Yeah. By the way, when Cliff Stout came back in the USFL, I think he played for Birmingham, I want to say, the signs were all over the stadium. Stiff Clout, which I thought was a great nickname.
It's great. It is great. Some inventive people down there in Birmingham. Well, Chris, you got more for him?
Yeah, what about Kirk Cousins? How do you feel about that?
That was a
stuff?
good one, yeah. Now, I already had Atlanta at 30-1, which I thought was pretty low because I kind of liked their roster. I felt they were going to go out and do something in the quarterback market. I think Kirk Cousins was probably the best guy that they could get. I think he'll fit in really well. So I did not lower them. I think that's still a decent price. I mean, to me, they're probably the favorite to win that division, although I think Tampa's still going to be pretty good. Mm-hmm. But I think Atlanta did a real good move. But I didn't I didn't want to lower their price.
So 30-1 still.
35-year-old coming off of a
With the
season-ending
Falcons.
injury.
Yeah.
A 4-year deal. That was the part that got
Yeah.
me, the length of the contract.
Okay, we're talking about great deal. Is he the businessman,
Yes.
Hall of Fame?
Guarantee himself $300 million in the NFL. And he's going to spend it all on Cole's cash.
It's good.
And he's been nothing better than a good quarterback.
I always stick
Above
up for him when it comes to
average.
fantasy.
Oh, really? Okay.
But that's just because he throws for a lot of yards.
Yeah, he does.
That's about it. That's about it. Well, Chris, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me on so long, guys. I
Yeah.
don't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt
thank you.
your
Have an
basketball
hour-long
stuff.
show if we could with you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay. Well,
you're
thanks for having
you're
me
the
on.
one in charge. We could if you wanted to.
I yield to the talents here. So
Well, I appreciate it. I don't know where you're
Okay.
looking, but it's not over here. Chris Andrews, South Point Sportsbook Director, giving us his thoughts on plenty of college basketball and some NFL free agency and trade news as it relates to Joe Mixon. Take another quick 2-minute break. When we return, Cousin Josh joins with conference basketball stories of old and maybe a pick or two as we close out the show.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grandview Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grandview Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grandview Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back to the final segment of Sports by the Book. We're just a couple of Gonzaga bettors up here, and then there's Alex. I'm Matt Neverett here. Big
get
thanks
my
to Chris
hat
Andrews
out.
for stopping by. Oh, is that? Oh, not yet. We'll get her on Gonzaga by the end of the show. Joining us now to close out the show, very special guest, friend, co-worker, family of mine, cousin Josh, joining us here to close out the show. Now, this isn't just, hey, my cousin's in town, let's put him on. Josh has been engineering and producing radio broadcasts for conference tournaments here in Las Vegas for, what did we decide, 20 plus years now?
Yes, 20 plus years.
We started with the Mountain West with my dad way back in the day. I mean, way back in the day. He's old. Now we're going to be working the Big West. We're actually heading over to Dollar Loan Center Arena as soon as we get off the air here to go take a look at the technical setup for the radio broadcast for the Big West. Tell us the story how my dad got you started initially, because you guys grew up in the same area in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
Close as family. But how did he get you involved in the business side? Because you're not involved in sports at all.
No, not involved in this whatsoever. I have a regular job in Houston, Texas, and got a call one time saying if come out here and help. And I basically was just this stat guy, just giving them little nuggets here and there, and just kind of learned and worked my way through. And then now I'm pushing buttons on a computer and setting everything up. And yeah, it's an unbelievable time to be out here.
When you first got started, the conference landscape, as far as the tournaments go here in Las Vegas, looked a lot different. Was it just Mountain West back then, or was there maybe two?
Nope, just Mountain West.
Just the Thomas and Max. Now there's
Just-
five.
And did it alternate, or has it been Mountain West where it was here every year?
Mountain West was here.
For a long time.
They went to Denver for, I think, a year or two. It
Okay.
didn't work out very well, and then they came right back here.
And then it was permanent.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been here ever since,
And that's
yeah,
how
great.
the snowball started here. in
Yeah, now
Vegas
there's five. So I'll be interested to see if somebody replaces the Pac-12 because they're going bye-bye after this year. So that's the fifth of the five tournaments. So maybe four. I think four is not enough, if you ask me. But it's interesting. Yeah, we're over at the Big West now. Different setup in Vegas for these tournaments than it used to be. Like I was saying, what's maybe one story from the old days of how these tournaments are? Just one or two of your most memorable moments working these conference tournaments thus far.
When I first started, really, the Mountain West had Utah, BYU, TCU, and just the battles that these teams had, especially with the Mormons, the BYUs, and even the fights breaking out in the stands after games between parents and friends and family members. I mean, it was crazy the battles that they had back then. It's disappointing that those schools, went on to do different things, but it's so great to see the Mountain West now back in full force. It's probably one of the best basketball conferences this season.
At least the most competitive. Yeah, 7 teams with 7-1 odds or less. You were telling us a story before we got on the air about BYU and about a player specifically for BYU. I think most people can probably guess who it is, but tell our viewers that story because that was a great one.
So 2011, BYU playing New Mexico, and it was probably a game that I'll never forget. Jimmer Fredette decided to not miss, and he went off for 55 points. About 10 minutes left in the first half, he pulled up from half court as a regular jump shot and hammered it and winked at us at the scorer's table, and we knew it was going to be something special, and that was probably by far the best game I ever got to see in person.
Do you remember a lot of buzzer beaters or throughout your time doing conference?
There was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of just like clutch shots and just big defense. I mean, back then the Mountain West was all about defense and just
Right.
banging bodies and guys on the floor and diving for basketballs. You don't see that a lot anymore. The game has gone a little finesse.
That's
It's a nice
true.
way of putting it.
Yeah.
Little finesse.
A little Euro.
Yes. So it was nice to see just the banging down low and bodies flying everywhere and guys jumping over tables for balls, and it was unbelievable.
Was it last year or 2 years ago where the game we were working at that Long Beach State one? Is that 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Long
yeah.
Beach State. That was in the
Jones.
conference semifinals too. To win that one. I actually was looking for some other video the other day, and I found the video that I took from behind the table that you were sitting at. And I think we both had looked at Long Beach State throughout that whole tournament. And it's the video of the shot going in, but then all of a sudden you just see you turn around like this and turn, and you're like a foot from my camera. And I think that's one of the funniest videos I have of my role.
It's so hard when you're working it and trying not to be a fan,
Right.
and just I couldn't help it. I jumped out of my seat. It was just an unbelievable shot.
Yeah, that tournament, a lot of fun. So you told us a story from on the court. Are there any stories from off the court that would be clean enough for air here on these conference tournaments in Las Vegas, if you can think of one?
This is clean. So I'm a huge Boston fan. Boston Celtics led the green. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Parrish, Danny Ainge. Well, back when BYU was in the tournament, it was halftime and I needed to use the restroom. And as I was washing my hands, I see in the stall over was Danny Ainge. And it was kind of like, he's an idol. But what do? You're in the restroom with the gentleman, and you're just like, So I introduced myself, say, hey, very nice to meet you. Well, before he had a chance to go wash his hands, he tried to shake my hand. And it was just a really awkward pause where I'm staring at a guy that I really loved, like, what do I do here? So I just kind of gave him the knuckle and walked right out. So I kind of lost my moment of being able to meet a guy that I love, but wasn't too fan friendly of giving him a handshake as he hasn't washed his hands yet.
You know, I have a very similar story with Bill Cowher. I was at a Penguins game one time in Pittsburgh. I can say it, Frank can't. And we were waiting in line for the urinal. It was during a period break, so there was lines at every urinal. So we're waiting. I just see a bunch of people coming up to one guy near me and then walking away. And he's royalty in Pittsburgh still to this day. And I kind of turned and I saw the mustache, and I was like, oh wow, that's Bill Cowher. So I made the joke. We were both next in line, and I turned. I made the joke. I said, Mr. Cowher, I want to shake your hand before we get to business here. And I shook his hand. We did that, and then we left. So it's a very similar story there. Want to get your thoughts on a couple of games tonight. One game that I know we were talking about that we will get Alex to bet on before it starts. Gonzaga, you're laying the 3.5 with the Bulldogs.
I am laying the 3.5 with the Bulldogs. They own Las Vegas. They don't lose here. All of Spokane, Washington has shown up like they do every single year. It's kind of home court advantage. And if you've seen through college basketball all year, home court is huge. There's very rare you'll see this year. I'm not sure the exact average, but home teams win. And this is their home floor.
What did your dad adjust? He says typically he does like a 3-point adjustment more often than not. Was it 4?
Yeah.
Maybe up to 4 for a home court advantage as far as the power rating numbers go. So that's
4, even 5, I think it's getting closer to.
Is that not enough for you, Alex, to lay the 3.5? This is my mission today. We still got that. We'll get you on that one. Any other games that you've taken a look at, Cousin Josh?
Looked at Boston College today.
Yes,
Ooh,
thank
we
you
didn't
for bringing
get to that
up.
game.
We wanted to get to that one. We both think, and I think you're in the same boat, wrong team favorite in this game. Miami laying the 1.5. They've been abysmal as of late.
It's been a dumpster fire for them. They have the talent. They just haven't put it together. I know they say it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season, but Boston College played them well twice, beat them both, I think, by 10 or more. Are these kids from Miami wanting to be here and wanting to play? I mean, they haven't shown it all season. I think they're ready to cash it in and just call it done. And I think Boston College should be able to pull off the win.
Miami lost 9 straight coming into this game. It's pretty wild that they're still the favorite in this one.
Literally 9 straight losses. They got smoked by BC twice. They are the worst record, worst seed. Why are they favored? I just don't get this number.
It's a recency bias, right? From last year, people are thinking that they might come around and still be that good of a team.
And I
but
think that's what it is. The odds makers are waiting for them to wake up. Like maybe this is the time. Like they're just going to go on this run and they're waiting for it to happen. I just don't see it.
right.
It's like all those things scare me,
Yeah.
but I'm just staying away. This is a stay away game for me. I do think, like I said, that BC, I'm not saying they should be a 10-point favorite, but I think maybe a 1.5 to a 2-point favorite makes more sense for Boston College, who has made quick work of this Miami team twice this year. So I'm glad you brought that one up because that was an interesting one and one that I was excited to kind of get your thoughts on.
I think even with the double revenge here, giving Miami a couple points for that, this game should be about a pick 'em. I think you are getting value with taking 3 points here with Boston College. And if you want to play a little bit on the money line, I'm fine with that too.
A game that I'm on, Josh, is in the first round of the CUSA Championship. It is number 9 seeded Florida International against number 8 Jacksonville State, who has taken that conference by storm on both the gridiron and the hardwood since they joined. Is this a game that you've been able to take a look at yet?
I didn't look at a whole lot of it. I would lean towards Jacksonville State.
I knew I liked you.
Yep, I would lean that way.
That
They've
is-
been hot, and
That's one of my plays today. I'm on Jacksonville State. They're laying 4.5, a total of 140. Jacksonville State swept the regular season matchup. In those 2 games, Alex, they out-rebounded Florida International. Let me double-check. 74-47 over 2 games. Absolutely dominant on the boards. I think that is a trend that continues. FIU has lost 6 of their last 8 and 10 of their last 13 straight up. They're allowing the 310th most points in the country, the 349th worst field goal percentage against, and get this, they are allowing 40% shooting from beyond the arc. That is dead last in the country.
He's a lot braver than me, though. I'm not going to bet an 8-9 matchup here to get into the tournament, right?
I will say,
But I like your numbers.
Jacksonville State, not a high-scoring team. They're not a high-flying team. They average just over 70 points a game. However, they're allowing 66 points a game. That's 32nd in the country. So stifling defensively.
Very good.
I'll take the defense and the rebounding advantage. If there's anything stronger than an advantage, that's what they have in this game. They are absolutely dominant in both of those realms. So I am on Jacksonville State. The only other game that I'm on, I had to go down to the extra games. I had to do one
That's
bet on
right.
the extra games, right? How about these numbers? 306-523, 306-524. You can keep those straight on the extra numbers. I like Nichols State getting 4.5 against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Nicholls State shooting almost 40% from beyond the arc. Texas A&M Corpus Christi shooting just over 30%. The team split in the regular season, but in the game that Nicholls lost, guys, they were 9 of 28 from near the rim. That's not from beyond the arc. And that's an anomaly. That's not going to happen again. They're not going to miss that many layups. Nicholls State also coming in off of a 21-point win yesterday over Texas A&M Commerce as a 5.5-point favorite. I will take them catching 4 today, the Colonels.
I do have one more question for both of you going into the Big West tournament. What are you looking forward to the most coming out here and working this tournament?
I'll defer to the guest.
I mean, for me, I'm just a fan. I love being front court center watching all of these games. I've got to see so many great players, so many great games, so many great teams, and being able to work with family.
Yeah.
And again, spending some time out here, it's just priceless.
Yeah, no, I like that element of it as well. Like I like all of those things, but I also really like being involved on the kind of executive side of things for a change, because I'm so used to being, just talent, which is a very loose term in my regard. But, not really being a decision maker or have any say in what goes on. I like being the one that puts together a lot of this. We run the radio network for Sirius XM, so like tonight, I'm building all the commercial breaks, stuff
Very
like that.
good.
Like I kind of like doing a lot of that production stuff behind the scenes because it is a nice change of pace. It's a marathon, as Josh can attest, and our director behind the glass has worked many a tournament over the years, so it is a grind.
Yeah, I was going to
It's-
ask what your day-to-day looked like, how many hours you spent there.
So the first game, let me pull this up. So it's interesting. So our schedule, we have a pretty small crew compared to a lot of other teams that do this kind of work. I will be calling 2 radio games, 2 TV games tomorrow, and the next day. So like tomorrow, first game's at noon. We'll probably get there at about 10, and you're there until the last game ends at about 10:30.
Wow.
So you're there 12 hours plus each day.
And I'm a little selfish because they cut back on the invites on teams this year, so we have less games. So it's kind of bittersweet because, we're less days,
Yeah, one less day total.
but we're missing some games, which as a fan, you want to see as many games as you can while you're here.
Yeah. Well, you get paid by the game too, so
Well, that's good.
that's the beauty of being on the executive side of things. Cousin Josh, everybody, give him a hand.
Yes,
At
thank
Bo
you.
Thank you for
Sox,
having me.
at
Thank you.
Smith Bo Sox fan on Twitter. Threw that up there a couple of times while he was on there. Yeah, we'll be heading over to Dollar Loan Center Arena here in about 5 minutes to go set
Time
up
for
our game.
setup.
Yeah,
really
enjoy,
excited.
you guys.
I was excited to get you on making your debut.
Well, thank you for having me.
And that's going to do it for us, for the Drew Dog and Ann behind the glass, for my partner Alex White, our guest and cousin Josh Smith. I am Matt Neverett saying thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to South Point Studios on YouTube. Best of luck with your bets. Jeff Parles back in this chair tomorrow, same time, same place on Sports by the Book. Goodbye, everybody.